Hi everyone, thanks a lot and for joining in and welcome to this little episode of Surf. Today with us we have Bill Toner, the CEO of CH&Co. We're very happy to have you on board here on the podcast today, Bill. And maybe if you could start by giving a little introduction of yourself, who you are, and maybe a little bit of your journey in contract catering.
Wow, given my age, that might take a long time. Anyway, I am Bill Toner. I am the CEO of CH&Co. This is a business that we formed, I think, 13, 14 years ago, and we've grown this business predominantly in the UK. So we kicked off with a business called Host when we were 12 million turnover, 12 million pounds, and then we grew that business through M&A and organic growth to 500 million. So 400 million coming from M&A and 100 million from organic growth. We created a very prominent, successful business in the UK, well, UK and Ireland. Uh, it's been a journey, but a very pleasurable one.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds really interesting also with the role of combined both like organic growth and so on. What were like was it already when you got into host in the beginning, was it already there the plan to go on a journey that included acquisitions and all of these things, or how did that plan and strategy develop over time?
Based on historical experience, really, before I was the MD for UK and Ireland for a business called Gardner Merchant, which was part of Trust House 40. And we did a management buyout of Trust House 40, and we sold the business 3, 4 years later to Sodexo. So then I was the managing director for a £600 million division of Trust House 40 Gardner Merchant. So, and in that role, you are involved in predominantly organic growth, but some acquisition. So it was something I was very familiar with. And then I left to go and join Aramark and spent a year with Aramark in the US looking at their business challenges and helped them with significant rebids and retention strategy before returning to the UK as their CEO. And again, in that role, we took the business from 120 million to 400 million through acquisitions and organic growth. So you buy a business and then you look at the fit into your core business. You capitalize on both your strengths and their strengths, but the goal always has to be how does the combined entity continue on that strategy of growth? Because when you're a small business of 15 million and your target for growth is 10%, well, the numbers speak for themselves. It's not a big target. But then when you're 30 million, you're like it's doubled. Or when you're 100 million, 10% is a big number. So you have to restructure yourself to capitalize on market opportunities and organic growth, funding any potential deal that you may have. And the NA was always about who was available, would it strengthen our current core business, and would we be in a position to continue with our accelerated combined organic growth. So that's how it works. And of course, then you've got cash is king. What does the combined entity look like? What funds are available for the next acquisition? So you were on a journey. I didn't think at the time we thought we would get to 500 million or 700 million. If you're enjoying what you're doing and the opportunities present themselves, then you capitalize on that.
Yeah, it seemed like you've been really good at like capturing these moments because how many acquisitions did you do throughout the journey?
14.
14 acquisitions. And like, how did you go about like identifying these companies and yeah, making sure that they were a match to your strategy and what you wanted to achieve?
Well, that was all about networking, understanding where they were in the sector, paying particular attention to their team and success, i.e., their growth in the sector, and uh, just being in that network. So, I mean, I've spoken to a lot more than 14 potential acquisitions over the years, but it's been talking to founders, being available, being present in the industry, following and creating a leadership position so that if you are talking to a founder and the founder then says, "Oh, we've been approached by CH and Co," you want that team to think, "Oh, that would be a good fit. Oh, that would be interesting." So it has to be a win-win for both
Yeah.
companies. But then to achieve that, the reputation precedes. You want to have a reputation in the sector of a successful M&A where the team have participated and you're creating an opportunity for everyone as you go through that strategy.
Yeah. And if you were like, we've seen since COVID a lot of new contract catering companies being founded, both in the UK but also in other countries in Europe. What
Yeah.
are some of the like tips that you would give to those founders or senior executives that are trying to go on a journey as well, trying to build up and compete with the likes of Compass Group, Sodexo, Aramark, Elior, etc.?
I mean, that is one loaded question, Peter, for sure. But listen, there will always be successful entrepreneurs who want to deliver something different. Now, if I go back in time, the entry cost to contract catering was relatively small. Clients were interested in working with a team of people or a company that was bespoke to them, or they felt that they were a very important part of that smaller company. And that is what people capitalize on. I think the entry level today is somewhat more expensive because of the need for technology, the need for and the experience around allergens, procurement, sustainability, and all of the things clients now, particularly large clients, are demanding from their catering partner. So it's not as easy. However, those who have funds behind them and they want to run their own business, then the opportunities are still there. So is again surrounding yourself with the best people, making sure that you are financially robust and you've got a growth strategy in place for the people that you want to employ. And then deliver on the promises, because if you don't, selling contracts can be easy, retaining them is more difficult, losing them is painful. So few challenges, but nonetheless, the opportunities are there because there's enough room in the sector for the large and for the small.
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense. I could also imagine like growing Ho, Siege and Co. and so on over the last more than a decade now. It has been a really interesting journey, but I also imagine that especially COVID was a very, very special moment. Can you maybe tell a little bit more about
Special
how?
moment, a special moment. Oh my God, yes. I mean, COVID for all of us in the sector and the world really was, a phenomenal challenge. I mean, I remember being advised that uh, or listening to the Prime Minister, we're all going to stay at home for 3 weeks. I think, oh, 3 weeks, my God, we had just done three acquisitions that had borrowed £100 million, and all of a sudden there was no cash coming into the business to fund it. Because the banks didn't write it off because of COVID, they just recognised the fact that you couldn't start paying down the debt because there was no business to help facilitate it. So it was a traumatic effect for everybody. And we all went through the most challenging of times. Sadly, we had to make thousands of people redundant. Our business essentially imploded. There was no one to feed at schools, at work. Everybody was working from home. So, yeah, the business came to a complete standstill until we found a way of clawing our way back. So, COVID for everyone was financially and managerially challenging. And there's still pain from COVID. I mean, we're a few years in now, but the sector is certainly not back to where it was, and everybody's fighting hard to get the business back to where it once was. But it is in the past, but it was challenging for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really incredible journey, and then ended up with the great exit to Compass Group 475 million pounds. To my knowledge, at least the biggest exiting in contract catering ever. Can you maybe also tell a little bit more, at least in Europe, can you tell a little bit more about that journey and also that process forwards selling to Compass Group?
We had a partner, a PE partner, who joined us pre-COVID, and we did. I think our goal at the time was how do we take a 250 million pound business to 500 million and beyond, and we had the funds to do it, and we did, as I said, major acquisitions. But when you bring on a PE as a partner, although they were a minority partner, you're always for sale because I had executed all of the cash available to me from banks, which I have to say is the most cheapest form of cash versus a PE. And then you bring a PE partner because I wanted to buy something substantially bigger to strengthen the group. And regardless of the deal you had with them, that all made sense. But then when they want to leave, which is their God-given right because they want their money out, then you have to facilitate it. So you've got a couple of choices. You either flip, as it's called, the current PE and bring in someone new to help you go from 500 to 750, or you look at other ways, and we considered an IPO, floating on the business on the market to raise sufficient cash to buy them out, or you do a trade sale. Now, all of those options were available and we considered everything. And over the years, I obviously was heavily involved with senior execs of all the major competitors because I knew everybody by dint of age and experience. And when I had satisfied myself that we weren't going to do an IPO, it was going to be too expensive and too difficult, and I'd be living in the shadow of the bigger boys in terms of why would a major broker invest in me rather than the outstanding track record Compass has had for returning to their shareholders and others. And then it occurred to me that I had to facilitate an exit to let them go. And I've made this known. I chose Compass because they were the world's number one. It was going to be an easier sell to clients and to colleagues that this was going to be a perfect fit. And I knew the senior team who I liked and trusted. So we didn't put ourselves up for sales. I facilitated the trade sale to allow our PE partner to go, and that proved to be successful. So I didn't want to go through, and I thought it would be damaging to the business to be up for sale, and then you've got people pitching for your business just because the PE wanted to go. And that would have unsettled team, unsettled clients, unsettled the sector. So we kept everything under wraps until we facilitated the deal.
Yeah, well, makes great sense. And also in that whole journey of growing from host in the beginning through the 14 acquisitions, but also a lot of organic growth. What do you see as like some of the secrets, some of the main reasons why you have succeeded so well in these businesses, and also making a lot of the brands that you have bought on continue to grow?
That comes down to people and management. My entire career has been about recruiting the best people you can possibly afford, having them engage with your strategy and endeavours, and allowing them to help drag you to success. And if you surround yourself with the best people, then you've got more than a half a chance of being successful, for sure. So it's all about creating an environment where people enjoy working and they have their own careers in mind, being part of your journey, and making sure everybody's working in an environment that fuels success. So yeah, I would say that when you're a CEO of a growing business, you're never really off duty. Even if you go networking, you're looking for people. You'll be engaging with someone and think, oh my God, I wish he or she worked for me, or whatever the case may be. You're always on the lookout for talent.
I can definitely recognize that for myself as well, that it's a constant, no matter what the potential gain or benefit could be, you're always on the lookout for how could how could this impact my business positively?
Of course it is. I mean, you're exactly the same. I mean, we met at a networking event, and there'll be people there that I liked and you liked, and otherwise, why do it, right? If you're like, you and I don't need
Yeah,
another dinner, we don't need another glass of wine. You go because you're on a mission to either promote the company you're responsible for, whilst the added benefit is meeting people you didn't know and people who could add value to what you're trying and striving to achieve.
yeah. No, no, makes perfect sense. And if we then look back, like now you have been in the industry for multiple decades, but there's also a lot of
Now you're old, multiple decades. That was nicely put.
new young professionals coming into the industry with a lot of talent. Like, what are some of the like tips that you give to these young professionals in for them to achieve great things in the industry as well?
Do the right thing. I say the same to my children or anybody I'm working with who come with thoughts and challenges. What's the right thing to do? What's going to make you feel better, or the fact you're going to sleep at night? And that's everything from recruiting to letting people go. It's like when you're responsible for shareholders, what would the shareholders expect you to do to protect their investment and protect the business? Do the right thing. As difficult as that might be at times, do the right thing. And then if you do, then others around you, and this ripple effect of the network spreads far and wide. And that could be your ability to recruit people into the future. They'll speak to us because, well, I've heard CH&Co is a good place to work, or I've heard they've bought X, Y, and Z. So yeah, they're a company that I feel I would like to sell my business to protect our brand and goals. I mean, we don't have the 14 brands in place now, but when we got to 300 million, I facilitated the senior management team looking at our position in the marketplace, our brands, where did the brands cross over, and how do we position ourselves for growth. And that team redesigned our structure based on created CH&Co. And at that time, CH&Co Catering Group carried and had earned our royal warrant to the Queen at that time.
Yeah,
So we looked at creating a CH&Co education, CH&Co workplaces, CH&Co events, because that allowed us, under the banner of CH&Co, to also feature our royal warrant. And at
okay.
that time, it was absolutely the right thing to do. And I'm not sure it's going to come over on the so this is my business card. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah,
You can see the royal warrant front and
yeah,
centre.
yeah.
And of course, here are all the brands we had. So you can see there, venues, education. So this business card said it all. We have a royal warrant, and here are all, and this is how we carried it. So this was created. And of course, as we continue to grow, we bought a big business called Gather and Gather, and we cut the Gather and Gather catering division out of Mighty, which is a leading FM company. And then we bought Vacheron in London, which was a boutique, very successful, fast-growing London business. And then we bought Company of Cooks, which was a business that focused on their events and destinations business, as we called it. Because these brands were essentially equivalent in size, so it allowed us to go from 250 million to 500 million, then we, CH&Co, kept the group, but we capitalized on their brand identity and position in those sectors. And then we folded our other businesses to make Gather and Gather bigger, Vacheron bigger, and Company of Cooks bigger, because everybody felt that brand positioning strategy was the right thing to do.
Yeah, so you actually got a lot of synergies by the different acquisitions that suddenly could be able to cover more things, do bigger tenders, do
All
more
of that.
varied things, and so on.
Volume and power. comes with positioning and turnover. So we capitalize on these brand positions or these brand values. And of course, everybody was equally as excited. Now, did I have this as a vision 5 years ago that I was going to buy these brands and this is what I was going to do and we'd be 500 million? No, I'm not that clever. You know, I'm just not that clever. Like we were on a journey. We looked at potential opportunities. Buy and gather was our biggest deal. That took 12 months from more than 12 months from conception to meeting with the CEO, pitching an idea. All of that took time, energy, and of course, money. But once you've achieved that, once you've created something, there'll be a time in your growth strategy where you and your team will sit down and say, where are we now? Where do we want to go? How are we going to get there? What's working for us that's right? What could we do better? Is there potential acquisitions in different countries or whatever the case may be? You'll evolve and capitalize on size and scale. You'll know when it's ready. It's going back to how did we create CH&Co? Why do we have the royal warrant? I'm very proud of the fact we now have a royal warrant with the king. So how do you maintain all of these things and evolve? And you will have the same opportunity and challenge in whatever country you want to participate in. And that could be by dint of name. What CH&Co, the royal warrant, doesn't have the same cachet in America as it does in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I don't even know if you're aware of what the royal warrant stands for in the UK because you don't live and breathe in the UK. It's not going to have the same effect in Europe as it does here. So you will have to evolve and capitalize on opportunities in each country as and when they arise.
That's also something we really have felt during the journey. We are now having customers in 11 different countries, but like, for instance, when we started out in the UK, the first question I got from any UK caterer was, who are you working with in the UK? They didn't really care that we work with a lot of prominent caterers in the other countries. They were very much like, who do you work with here? And that's the same in every country we go to.
No, and it will be. And then your name's important and how you communicate's important in that language and even understanding the nuances of each country. So when I worked for Sodexo, I was the B&I Business and Industry Champion, and I helped other European countries. And it was fascinating just to visit everywhere from Paris to Spain to Italy and look at what we were doing and try and guide them to what made the UK at that time successful. But you still had to understand the nuances of how they treated food service in different countries. And we're all different. Listen, in the UK, I'm Scottish, running a UK and Irish business, but there's things we do in London we wouldn't do in Scotland. There's things on the menu in Scotland that wouldn't be in London. So you have to understand it. And your growing pains will be understand you have something that's pertinent to each of the countries and the business opportunities, but your job will have to mold it accordingly.
And how was your thought regarding, at least to my knowledge, CH&Co only do business in UK and Ireland?
UK and Ireland.
Yeah. What were your thoughts between that? I also assume that there has been thoughts about both entering Europe, maybe even also other continents. Like, what have your thoughts been regarding going so deep and making so many acquisitions in UK only, versus not trying to enter any other regions?
No, we again, by dint of finance and opportunity, we looked at what would be the benefit to the group and to shareholders if we moved into Europe and or America and or Canada. We felt America or Canada by dint of language would be easier to communicate what we did differently. We were very active. We had one potential opportunity and three in America to look at, be that a merger of both companies And we liked the idea of someone in America of a similar size merging with us because then we had that cross the pond business opportunity of similar clients where who we could look after, and then systems also being able to jump the pond. So there was opportunities for us. But again, this is where you need a PE with funds available to facilitate a merger because we felt the growth opportunity for the business. If you look at the success, and they're now my business partner of Compass over the last 10 or even 20 years in their growth strategy, it's quite phenomenal of what they've achieved in America, what they've achieved in the world. Of late, they've disposed of some of the countries that weren't performing, but the growth potential for them as the group. I mean, they're the world's number one by quite a big margin. And when I was part of Sodexo and helping them with their B&I proposition, the growth opportunities were spectacular. And of course, Compass is kept very focused on everything they do well in all of the sectors they do well in as far as food is concerned. Sodexo went off to look at more fully integrated facilities management with food because of the market opportunity that was available to them. So two different strategies, and Sodexo's growth today, the vast majority of that's coming from what we would say is full FM. So you've just got to decide what lane you're in and then capitalize on that lane. Your job is feeding or providing a service to these multiple contract caterers and or hospitality sectors and tailoring your offer accordingly.
Yeah, for sure. Now you also mentioned that Compass, of course, is a really big player in this industry, and now you're also a part of Compass Group, but also both in CH&Co, but also now in Compass Group. How do you think about like, that consolidation that's also to a degree happening in the industry, and also the fact that even in CH&Co, you had brands that to a degree would be competing against each other, but also now in Compass Group, you have quite a lot of brands that in many cases would maybe go for similar or even the same tenders. How do you think about that consolidation and also that internal competitiveness between the brands?
These are conversations we had certainly before and during and after. And the collective, we had to satisfy ourselves that the combined entity could continue to grow. And they felt and we felt that retaining the brand identities was the right thing to do for our existing clients who bought Company of Cooks or Vacheron or Gather and Gather, and our pipeline of potential was pretty robust. And of course, you take a signing check from your existing clients, i.e., we've joined Compass, we're going to capitalize on everything they have in their toolbox. However, we're still going to be Vacheron focusing on our clients in London. That's when you realize clients are then, oh, well, if you're not changing your name and you and this team's looking after us, I'm happy. And similarly, Compass are doing their thing, and there are occasions where both of us are competing. Now, you might have some consultants say, oh, do you realize they're the same company? Yeah, but we're happy with who's bidding, and sometimes they win or sometimes we win. But from a group point of view, at a very high level, you get two bites of the cherry. You just need to make sure that one of us is the winner. And certainly in retention, we've not lost any contracts at all. Clients are fully aware that we are a subsector of Compass, but this, like 9 months in, they feel that they're still getting the same level of service, the same dedicated team delivering to them, so they've had no need for change. But it's coming back. That's people, though. That is the people in charge of that business, that brand, believing in it and delivering what the client is looking.
Yeah, you have mentioned people a lot of time, and I think for any business, of course, people is key. Like it's great people that delivers hospitality, it's great people that do software and so on. But like, what are some of the things that you have tried to do culturally or in approaches to recruiting or generally on the people area that you feel like have been main contribution to the success of all these different brands?
I mean, again, it's a great question. Finding the right people, recruiting them, retaining them is paramount. But again, it's back down to facilitating that environment. And even in the office, we have the Vacheron team who are a different brand. Then the leadership team have to facilitate and create those brand values and that team. And they believe, like, well, we're Vacheron. And you might talk about other opportunities, and well, that's a gather and gather brand. That we don't do that. We're London centric, we're London focused. And you've got to create that environment. That comes down to positioning and leadership. I mean, I lost a colleague to Compass quite some time ago, and I tried to re-recruit him. He said, "I'm happy where I am, Bill." So you can't be, you can't be, because you were an integral part of our team. No, 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 I'm happy. So, but he felt part of Compass. He enjoyed the team. He enjoyed working for them. He enjoyed the toolbox. So the company has to create something to attract people to join them and work. And that's leadership, that's management, it's not just a logo. You've got to engage with something that people buy into. And if you succeed and they're buying into, then you've won. That's it, you've won. You've got the right people believing in that brand. And if you speak to someone in company of cooks who manage the Royal Opera House and say, "Do you work for Vacheron?" No, 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 I work for Company of Cooks, because their business is slightly different, with a slightly different nuance on what they do versus Vacheron. And that's like any brand.
Yeah.
If you say to someone who works for Pepsi, "Oh, I think Pepsi tastes like Coke," you can't possibly think it tastes like Coke. We're Pepsi. That's impossible. So when people are employed and work for a particular brand, you have to create that environment.
Yeah, and create that connection and so on. Yeah, makes really, really great sense. One of the things that if we zoom a little bit out, it's a really incredible story, but also, as mentioned, you have been in the industry for a couple of decades now. What are some of like the most noticeable changes that you have seen over this period?
Wow. We have changed. I mean, the whole sector in hospitality has changed. Most certainly, technology is at the forefront of numerous things that we do. That's our ability to manage and administer the business, and giving management the tools to manage more effectively, to companies such as yourself that come in with a tool that allows us to enhance what we're doing on behalf of the client in terms of information. And that's everything from buying everyone from food buy, all of the allergens and all of the challenges in a particular menu being made available for particular clients, to being able to design and articulate road miles to a product or products in a menu. So technologies came an awful long way. And just in the whole hospitality sector, just to touch on that, and this is my personal experience. We were in America last year with my son and his kids, and we took our kids to Walt Disney World before, and it was a fantastic experience. But it's a better experience today because technology allows you to decide where to go and avoid queues and book a slot within 15 minutes rather than, "Oh, what's the wait time? It's an hour and a half." Same amount of people in the park, most leave because of an enhanced experience. Technology has facilitated that. Pre-ordering a lunch, so when you get there, it's ready. Here's your lunch. All of that is paramount. And of course, being able to pool resources, we know the benefit of joining Compass because Food Buy is the world's largest procurer of food. And that's not just all about price, because there's only so much you can squeeze out an orange. but it's the
Yeah.
information available to you that this is what's happening in the world. Coffee beans are going to go up. You're going to have to move meat products from beef to poultry and or pigs because the price is shot. We need information to re-engineer our business to give our clients a very sophisticated, knowledgeable pricing policy on anything they do. Because if you come into the workplaces and you come down and, I don't know, sweet and sour pork's on the menu, oh my God, that looks good, and like you may take it. And you don't sit down and say, oh, I wish it was sweet and sour beef,
Yeah.
sweet and sour chicken. We are all human beings, we're creatures of habit, and we're busy. We're all busy getting up, kids get to work, everybody's busy. So you want to make life attractive and easy for people. If they want to study the allergens, they can. If they don't, you don't have to bother. But we have to have the tools available to us. So all of that's changed. And certainly for Europe and for the UK, one of the biggest challenges is Brexit, where your ability to move throughout Europe and attract talent, retain talent. I lived and worked in France. I mean, I had to get a green card at the time, but we don't have that opportunity anymore. My son said to me at the point of Brexit, with no disrespect, Dad, you know, the oldies, i.e., me, has cut off a significant part of his network and opportunity because he did his master's in Madrid, and all of a sudden, his ability to be part of Europe, he felt was a backward step. So there's been some challenges. How it will be into the future, I don't know. But from a business point of view, that's affected us and our ability to have that culture involvement in everything we do, particularly in London, taken away from us.
It's super interesting with that, like how I can hear technology has been a part of like giving you information and also creating better experience for the guests, ultimately to drive better companies in this regard. And it's also, yeah, super interesting to hear how that journey has been. But also if you look into the future, and of course it's always hard to tell about the future, but if you were to make some prediction or some guesses on how do you see, what are some changes that you see happening in the industry, or that you maybe hope to happen in the industry, is there anything that then come to mind?
We are an industry of can do, that is for sure. When you're in hospitality, it's never, oh, that's impossible. It's always, how do we get round that? How do we achieve that? And
Yeah.
even post Brexit challenges, we were actively recruiting from the Philippines and from South Africa because these were areas that didn't affect us in the whole Brexit debacle. You've got to sit down and say and figure out a way of how can we recruit this talent into the country. And you've got to think the whole thing through. Why would they come here? For how long? A year, 18 months. Because when I went to France, I went for a year, just maybe over. I spent a year in America, so there was opportunities, but I never wanted to up and relocate. You've got to find a way of providing. In my business, it's people. When you employ 10,000 people to provide a service and you're short of several hundred, where do you get them from? How do you demonstrate to your client your ability to recruit the talent necessary to service a hospital and or a workplace and or a restaurant? And that our business is a people business. It's driven and created by the people you employ. People were paramount, so you have to facilitate that. You have to find a way.
And do you see that change in the future? Do you see that there is going to be a need for fewer people to do service with the way that technology and things are changing? Or how do you see the development on people? Also now with Brexit, I could hear that it's been harder to get people into the country and so on.
Yeah, there's technology will undoubtedly help. There's no question about it. The first thing that came into my mind there, I was looking at, I can't remember the name of it. I think the world's largest ocean liner, where you pressed a button and there was numerous robots giving you a gin and tonic. So I went ice, gin, tonic, So, and then when you're preparing drinks for several hundred, or in this case, maybe thousands of people, technology helped rather than the human element, because we ran all of the theatres in London when they were owned by Janet Holmes à Court. And of course, you could have 3 or 4 people behind the bar, but you can calculate what the takings are going to be based on human effort and customer, because there's only so much you can achieve in 20 minutes. People will go to the loo, someone will go for a drink. There's too many people, several thousand people in the theatre. There might be 5 bars, but you can get it down to the second on how many drinks it's humanly possible. It's not like, oh, let's sell more and have 5 people behind the bar, because if you can't, you can't. Technology has helped enormously with streamlining that opportunity when it works, and all the other information it gives. Like, will we want to be greeted and entertained and whatever with a robot? No, that's not going to change in my lifetime for sure. Like, we'll use it to enhance our lives and benefit us. I mean, I say this to people when I'm on the train in the morning. Everyone has
Yeah.
got their phone, and I think to myself, gosh, everybody's on their phone, and where's my phone? It's in my hand. I said, oh, so I've got my phone. But then, I mean, I kind of study it for my own benefit sometimes, but I see people watching a movie from the night before. I see people playing games. People like me will do emails or messages. So everybody uses technology to enhance their own personal space. And that's the challenge. And my children's challenge with their children is screen time. How do they manage screen time for their kids to make sure that they are active, playing, socializing, doing all the other things until they're old enough to use technology to play games, watch a movie, be on a flight, or whatever the case may be. So it will evolve and change, but as human beings, hopefully we'll use it to enhance what we need as human beings.
It makes super great sense. Thanks a lot for sharing all of that. Here in the end, Bill, I think I will ask a couple of the big questions, and one of them, of course, now you've had an incredible journey here with the host, Teach and Co. Now in Compass. The big question is, what's next?
What's next? Uh, Even before the whole compass thing, by dint of age, you think to yourself, what is next? How long am I going to carry on for? I had a colleague from America stay with us 2 weeks ago. He has 10 years on me, and he's still working and still loving it and still doing the things he enjoys doing. And I think we, certainly my age, we carry on doing the things that we enjoy doing. And I've got numerous young bucks, he's and she's, who are ambitious, who want more. I just give them more to do, and I do all the bits I enjoy doing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And there, it's yeah. I'm just going to carry on. Even when I'm working from home, my wife says, "Oh my God, I wish you were in the office." So there has to there has to be a balance of, you can only play golf so often, and we do things like this. So my job now is, I'm in a very fortunate position to give back, to help, to advise, and I enjoy that, because I was given that opportunity, and I want others. When I was your age, when I joined hospitality, I thought, wow, like, and then son's wife's sister's son is he's 16, but he's a young chef, and I'm just loving watching him. But then I can share. Well, when I wanted to be a chef, I mean, it wasn't really. I knew it was something I was good at and I could do, and I loved it. But I wanted to go abroad. That was my goal. I just, like, I'd never been outside the UK. And then that's when you've got to. I said, oh, I never thought about that. I would like to go here, there, or there. I said, well, once you finish your training, you have a passport of skills to take you wherever you want to go. So you've got to have that in your back pocket. You've got to know what you're doing, but And then all of a sudden, hospitality and opportunities are tenfold when you're attracting young people to our sector who think, never thought about that, but yeah, I would love to, because then you open up the world of possibilities. That's where hospitality is different from working in an office or doing some of the other things that you could have done.
I also think you're right. That's also why we see so many people spending like, yes, their whole career, decades in this industry, because and keep finding new ways of doing it, keep finding new jobs and new roles in this industry, because it is such a diverse industry in many ways as well.
Well, it's diverse and fun. Like, who doesn't like sitting down, talking, having a drink, or eating food, or facilitating people's pleasures? Uh, that's when your ability in London to recruit talent from Australia, from Europe to come to London, who have to work. Uh, we go skiing every year, and we don't know who the hosts are going to be, but we've got a cater chalet, and there'll be a young couple, but they're there for the ski season, and their job is to feed us and look after us and keep everything tidy. But they go for the skiing, but they enjoy the other side of it. It's fun looking after a family,
Yeah,
but then they go skiing, and then they have a season of fun, but they've got to work to fuel that. There's very few young people who can take 3 months off on their parents' ticket to go skiing. So they've got to find a way of doing what they love whilst working and being fed and watered. So hospitality facilitates all of these wonderful things.
yeah, very nice. I think here at the very end, Bill, the last question I actually want to ask is if you have any war stories or any like moments during the journey that you really think back on, like that was special, that was crazy, that could be fun to share.
Wow, oh my God. Special and crazy and wherever. Sometimes when I get home and my wife says to me, how was work? And I say, oh, uh, same noise, different day. And, I carry on with stuff. And then there are times when there is, I don't know, there's just things that happen in your life and or career. Being part of CHCO, and I spoke earlier about uh, a royal warrant. So each year we do 10 garden parties, and we feed 8,500 people on behalf of now the King, who come to Buckingham Palace to have afternoon tea. It's a big gig, but it's a machine. And to pull that off is just so special. But we opened it up to the entire team, UK and Ireland. Come and work for us. Come and join us. We're going to, on behalf of the King, we're going to do 8,500 people. The amount of people that come from all over the country to help us and who love it, who thank me for the privilege of work. We're all knackered. I mean, it's not like a walk in the park. We're knackered, but everybody loves it. We just think, wow, we have pulled this off. And then we were awarded the garden party at Holyrood House in Scotland, which I was very proud of, being a Scot, obviously. But then my team was up in Scotland, and we had the Emperor's state banquet in Buckingham Palace. So I wrote to the client, because I'm security cleared, believe it or not, I'm security cleared, being Scottish. I said, I'm happy to come and work if, because I know everybody has to be security cleared. My team's up in Scotland. Anyway, they said, that'd be great, Bill. So I was there meeting and greeting, handing out champagne, and everybody was there. Like Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I was looking after the Emperor, the King, the Queen, and Rishi and Duke of Edinburgh. I'm thinking, oh my God. So even that was a highlight for me in my career, working at a state banquet and watching UK PLC at its very best. And at my age and doing something, I think, wow, I was just so honoured to be able to do that. I was thrilled.
I could
So,
definitely
yeah,
imagine
small
that
things.
what has been like feeling really grateful. Like it must be a really good experience to do
Well,
that.
security cleared, and we have a royal warrant, but just the fact you're part of that team to see what we, the UK, do for a state banquet and how it's executed was phenomenal. It was just, it was, I'll never forget it. It was lovely. So if I wasn't in hospitality, if I wasn't with it would never have happened, but it did happen, and I'm super excited.
Was there any a point during the journey where you're like, okay, it's not gonna go this one, where you're like, where you feel like, okay, I'm taking way too much risk, or I'm, where you really had a tough time, where you're like, okay, what are we gonna do here?
There was one deal I was working on. Madeline, my CFO, and I were in Barclays and Canary Wharf. Barclays. They were our bankers at the time. And we presented the acquisition, the numbers, the overall deal. And it was, for us, we were quite small at the time. I think we were 30, 35 million, and we were going to double in size to 70 million. But I needed to get to 70 million because then I wanted to buy Charlton House, where CH&Co came from. So I had a plan. Of course, we did all of that, and then we got Bill. Credit says yes. However, credit says that this is a big exposure, it's a big risk, but they're willing to back you based on your knowledge, experience, and success today. But they would like your house as collateral. I said, oh, my house, my house. Yes. Oh, oh. I said, why has this never been mentioned before? Well, you know, this is credit, and they just said, we're all in, but that would give them the added security of how confident you are in this acquisition and your ability to hit the numbers. We know you can do it, you know you can do it, but they just want some extra security. So, I mean, the thing is, like when you're married and you own a house and there's two people on the mortgage. So I had to come downstairs on my wife and say, good news and bad news. So that was a moment of confidence where I didn't see it coming. My CFO at the time said, what are you going to do? I said, we're still going to do the deal. I mean, why wouldn't we do the deal? Do we believe in our ability, the numbers, and what we're doing? Why are we here? Because we believe in it. As I said, to convince my wife. And she said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to do the deal. She goes, okay then. And that was it. But there'll be moments when you want to do something, there'll be a bump, and that's when your inner self tells you. Because if there was reservations, you might have walked away.
Yeah,
But
I
if
think
you
it's a
were
really good story
true,
also about the
yeah, if
also
you,
about the importance of that, like
yeah,
persistence, that dedication, that belief in what you're doing. And I think that's a really good, like the house is just like the ultimate like concrete example. I'm betting my house on it. Like,
but it was a pivotal moment because if I hadn't done that deal, I wouldn't be here. But we did, and here we are. But yeah, there's moments in your life where you think, oh, this is shit or bust. And yeah, that was one. So there's been moments of glory and success, and there's been moments of, oh my word. But I'm very fortunate from leaving school early, washing dishes from 14, joining hospitality and loving every second of it. From then till now, I've been blessed with my career. So I've enjoyed it all.
thanks a lot, Bill, for joining us here today and sharing all the amazing parts of your story. Really, really appreciate it, and also thanks a lot for everyone that have watched it. We really appreciate that as well. And yeah, have a good day, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy.